hook up right now with a good friend of mine through the years. He's immigration attorney Farhad Sethna, who has joined us from time to time here on 1590 WAKR. And earlier this morning, we talked with Dr. Stephen Hook, who is a professor of political science at Kent State University with an expertise in global relations. And I was asking him about what the word is and what he's reading globally pertaining to global politics with President-elect Trump coming in. He said there is some concern. You don't know where it's going to go. But he said globally there are some concerns going on. And I got a hold of Mr. Sethna, who was kind enough to join us this morning. And he is very much involved in the immigration laws in this United States. And those of you who have heard Farhad on the show in the past know that Farhad was an immigrant himself and came into this country and has enjoyed the United States. And Farhad, thanks for making time to join us today. I know you're all booked and everything, but you squeezed me in. What are you hearing as far as upcoming immigration laws changing, if at all, with President-elect Trump and his administration coming in?
Well, good morning to you, Ray, and good morning to all your listeners as well. I'm really honored to be on your show once again, Ray. I think you do a great show. You're very fair. You're very balanced. So thanks for having me. Ray, I'm going to start off by telling you three things I think that an incoming President Trump ought to be thinking of very carefully with his immigration policy. And those three things are as follows. Number one, he needs to continue the executive action that President Obama kept in place called DACA, D-A-C-A. That is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, Ray. And what it does is it gives temporary permission for children who were brought here to this country at a young age to remain in this country and go to school, work, etc., as long as they have a clean criminal record. So keep in mind, these are kids who've grown up in schools next to your children and my children. They're decent kids. They're hardworking kids. Many of them are top achievers in their classes. And most importantly, they have to have a clean criminal record. So I would urge President-elect Trump to consider keeping the DACA program. The second thing I'd urge President Trump to consider retaining in place is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE's authority, to keep their ability to look at cases with discretion and have discretionary authority on whom they're going to remove from this country and whom they're going to give orders of supervision and retain in this country. Everybody who is an undocumented alien, Ray, is not a criminal. Everybody who is here without papers is not someone who's come here to take away U.S. jobs. Many of them have come here because they're fleeing persecution from their home countries. So I'd urge President Trump to give ICE that discretion as it currently has to determine whom to deport and whom not to deport. Finally, Ray, what I would ask President Trump to do in conjunction with Congress is to fix our broken immigration system. We've got a system where people are waiting for 20, 22, 23 years, Ray, to get a legal visa to come to this country to be with their families. That is madness, Ray. Nobody can wait for that long, and that simply fuels illegal immigration. We also need to change the legal immigration side of things and change the way that our employment visas are given out. We are sending away too many of the brightest and the best students in this country back to their home countries because there are simply not enough visas. We need to be competitive on the world market. So having had that brief preface, Ray, what other questions do you have?
Immigration attorney Farhad Sethna is with us. And Farhad, you know, it sounds radical during the campaign and everything where Donald Trump was saying, hey, we're going to build a wall. And Mexico's going to pay for that, and we're going to build a wall, and, you know, we're going to keep the illegals out, and we're just going to keep people out of the country. I think what he was trying to say, and I could be wrong, but I think what he's trying to say is kind of get to where you're going is, you know, it's okay for people to come into the country, but he wants it done in the right way. And you were saying the immigration system is broken right now in this country. Talk to me about where it's broken and what would be some areas that we could fix it as far as so we don't have to build this doggone wall.
Well, I'll tell you, and that's a great question, Ray. I'll focus on two main areas. One is family-based immigration. In the earlier segment when I spoke, I talked about visas for brothers and sisters, for example, of U.S. citizens, taking up to 23 years to be approved. 23 years, Ray, that's a person's lifetime. That could be their entire productive years or a great portion of their productive years. We've got to fix that so there are more visas available for deserving people to come into the USA. Number two, we've got to fix the employment side of things. Right now, for professional skilled workers, these are people with a bachelor's degree or higher, from China or from India, the waiting period is up to 11 to 12 years to get a green card. Ray, people can't wait for 11 to 12 years to get a green card. Their children are growing up. They need to put down roots. They want to buy a home. They want to send their kids to college. We've got to fix that so we can keep the brightest, the best, and the most hardworking in this country. We don't want to send them to Australia or Singapore or South Korea, which is where the brain drain from the USA is going, because those countries are gobbling up all our skilled, trained, educated foreign students.
Farhad, if I was an immigrant, and you can relate to this from your past experiences,
Sure.
and I wanted to come to the United States for education, ended up loving it here, like you did,
Yes.
and want to stay, what is the progression as far as me wanting to stay, and what type of criteria is used now if I'd like to stay into the United States, or are there some broken and bumpy roads in there that could be a little smoother?
You know, Ray, you ask such incredible questions. I got to compliment you. You really do. Ray, the road is broken and it is bumpy. It's broken in this way. There is no proper train or trail, let us say, for a person to follow from their student visa all the way to a green card, especially for students from China or from India. Countries are so loath to even apply for visas because there is a quota on visas. They could spend a lot of money with an application, and the application would be rejected simply because there are not enough visas to hand out to foreign students. So that's one big problem. The second problem you have, as I touched upon earlier, is you've got to wait of maybe 10 to 12 years to finally get a green card. In that much time, Ray, people get married, they have children, and they can't move forward. Yes, the road is very bumpy. If you are lucky enough, you are from a country which doesn't have high immigration to the USA, you may get through sooner. But if you're from India or from China or from Mexico or the Philippines, you are going to be waiting for decades to get into the USA.
Immigration attorney Farhad Sethna is with us this morning, 1590 WAKR. Farhad, let's go to the other side of this story here, and that is illegal immigrants. Do we have a problem in this country as you look at it from that perspective, and what can be done on that side? I know we were talking about building the wall, but what else can be done to try to control that, Farhad?
Well, it's already being very well controlled. Ray, I will tell you this from my own personal experience. At the southern border, our Customs and Border Protection are doing a tremendous job with the resources they have. They've got electronic surveillance. They've got night vision equipment. They've got drones. They've got a whole package of military-grade stuff that they can use to survey the border. And they're catching probably 98, 99% of the people who are trying to come over. I know this for a fact because I spent a week last year in Dilley, Texas, volunteering at a detention center for women and children. And that center was constantly at capacity. So therefore, people are being interdicted. The fact that criminals commit crimes, that's the second argument that Mr. Trump had, is true. Immigrants do commit crimes, as does the general U.S. population. They don't commit crimes in significantly larger numbers than the U.S. population. In fact, they commit crimes at significantly lower percentages than the U.S. population, because the last thing they want to do is commit a crime, be caught, and be removed. So that issue of criminality has been overblown, obviously, for election purposes. But again, I'm not naive. If there are bad people in the immigrant community, felons, drug traffickers, human traffickers, kick them out, Ray. You are not going to have any opposition from most immigration attorneys or most even civil rights attorneys on this issue. We don't need those bad people in this country. Kick them out. But keep the others who are blemishless in this country so they can contribute to our great nation.
Farhad Sethna is with us. Farhad, if we go back 100 years ago, 1910 to the 1930s, the United States was the melting pot. Everyone from Europe, Middle East, China, India, China, they all wanted to come to the United States and come to the land of the free. With you right into this sector, being an immigration attorney, is the feeling still that way around the world, that people still want to come here to the United States, but obstacles are up, as you were saying, and they're going elsewhere?
Ray, I will say this as a proud American, and an American who has been chosen by America to be one of her citizens, for which I'm going to be eternally grateful. Ray, we have, in my opinion, we have the greatest nation on earth. And I say this with great pride. I tear up whenever I hear our national anthem because it is a tremendous nation. Ray, people are lining up to come to this country. Every day in my office, people come to me and their question is, how do I stay here legally? What do I do? What are the steps? Every single day. I don't have a shortage of business, Ray. I will tell you that much because people love our country. We are a free nation. People can do things here that they can only dream about doing in their home countries. And the business opportunities, the opportunity to own property, the opportunity to live free is here in this nation of ours.
All right, Farhad. Well, listen, thank you for joining us this morning, really answering the questions I had lined up. Did I leave anything out of importance when we talk about immigration laws now and what lies ahead? Question marks. Did I leave anything out?
Well, I wouldn't say that you've left anything out, Ray, but I will tell you this, and I know you will probably have me back again in the future, and I'll be delighted to do that. We're going to be watching President Trump's elections very closely. At this point in time, he's got a lot of anti-immigrant people in his transition team. I'm hoping that as the days and the weeks go by, he's going to soften some of that stance. I realize a lot of that was election time rhetoric, and I do understand that. But I do believe also that Mr. Trump is a pragmatic businessman. He understands the importance of labor in this country. He needs it himself for all his hotels and his construction ventures. We're going to need to refocus ourselves to keep good people here and fix this broken system. I hope President-elect Trump will do that for us all.